Dan Lane is one of 5 corporate chaplains at Armstrong International. We talked with Dan about the practical implications of spirituality in the workplace.
Typically, I'll have 10 to 15 contacts in a day I never know what my schedule is going to involve. It can change in a minute. It can change with one phone call. But typically I'll come in, begin my day with prayer, and then start answering my emails and checking my contacts. People will stop in. I have my appointments that I have set for counseling and just being there to handle the crises that come up on a daily basis. What I can't schedule are necessarily the emergency hospital visits. Sometimes I'll spend 2 to 3 days at the hospitals in Kalamazoo. Today it was 2 here in Three Rivers, and a pastor's luncheon in Kalamazoo. Some things I can schedule, some things come up where you just, again, they are need driven. This is something that I think is very important. We want to make people productive. Statistically, 60% of the people don't have a pastor to turn to in any corporation, not just Armstrong's. And again, any given time, 15% of the people are in some form of crisis. It can be not a very substantial crisis, but it's a crisis to these people versus someone who has lost a child to cancer, or their wife is going through it, or divorce, or any of those situations. When someone walks into my office and they're on the verge of a breakdown, stresses of life have got them, they're non-productive, and I want to make them productive again. So some of the things that I will ask them is, first I'll set them down, let them compose themselves, find out what's going on, find out, are they on any medications, are they up to date? Find out what's going on and get them productive again. If I can't help them with the counseling, I'll get them into a licensed counselor. I'm not a licensed counselor, but although I am ordained and everything, and I'm a member of the American Association of Christian Counselors, I want to make them productive. If they're happy and productive, they're producing and giving Armstrongs a much better product and a better productivity. And so I want to move them from the center of their crisis to getting through it and being productive for themselves, for their families, and for our company ultimately.
Following up on that, how would you respond to someone who would say you're trying to use religion to make your company more profitable? I know what you're saying, but how would you respond to that?
Well, I think that it's part of our life, whether you're in the business or not. If I go back to where Jesus chose his disciples, and we're looking at ministry and business together, Jesus went to the marketplace to choose his disciples. He didn't go to the church. He chose the fishermen and the tax collectors and people like you and I, and said, I'm going to take you and change the world. It isn't God who separated those things. Work is, the root word of work is avodah, which is worship. Our work should be worship. And if I'm working in a situation where I'm not happy, I'm not productive, I'm going to affect the bottom line. And so it's not just, I remember telling him, I can't tell you what the bottom line is going to be as far as a dollar amount, because we set budgets out to take care of this part of the ministry. I couldn't tell them at the point how much it was going to change, but I said, give this a couple of years and you're going to see less personal time taken off, less sick time for the crisis handling. If we can help them get through it. I don't want to take the place of their pastor. I'm always going to direct them to a home church. We've got 22 people who are going back to church or who never went to church. And so I want to build them up spiritually so they're productive physically and materially. And I don't see how you can drive the two apart. Our rule is here, if they're in a crisis situation where they just are stressed, they can leave the machine, they can leave their office, they can come down here to the chapel and spend 10, 15 minutes. They can come to my office, not be reprimanded for that, clear their head, get back to work again. That's very beneficial. Every day I walk through the plants when I'm not at the hospitals or something. I'm walking through, talking to people and shaking hands with them. And you can see it in the attitudes of people. When I shake hands with them, I want to connect. That's my biggest connection right there. Is I'm not preaching to them. I'm just saying, how are you doing? How's your family? Everybody doing okay? Do you have any need? And then they'll open up and they'll say, I'll give you a good example. I pass out birthday cards, and I would take a New Testament on their birthday. And I walked up to one of the guys out here in the shop on second shift, big guy, had his back to me, and I thought, God, I don't know how he's going to react when I give him this birthday card and tell him I'm praying for him. And so I tapped him on the shoulder and I said, hey, happy birthday. And the man turned around, dropped his head, and started crying like a baby. I said, what is going on? And he said, my girlfriend and I just found out she lost the baby. And I went to their house. I met with him and her together. He cooked me a big meal. I wasn't preaching. I was just being there, listening to them. And it changed their lives. And I'm thrilled about that. That's what I see happening out here. It isn't billboards around saying, I serve Jesus. It's all the faith things. It's living it. I think it was Francis Assisi who said, preach often and sometimes use words. And so we just want to live it.